This is the admissions committee panel. Really excited to have with us three distinguished guests amongst us. So we have Aditya from ISB right here, and then we have Sanjay from Schulich. So I'll do the formal introductions once we also have Bala sir here. Yeah, so, and these gentlemen have just flown in this morning to be with you all. So we know they mean business and they're eager to share insights from their programs. Yeah, and we have Prashant escorting Balasar here as well. So yeah, we'll be able to commence the panel within the next few seconds. So yeah, if we could please have your presence, sir. Great. So it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed, distinguished panel. We have Balasar right in the middle, and he's the head of marketing and an alumnus of IIM Bangalore, and he has 25 plus years of experience in industry and academia. Can we please have a huge round of applause for Balasar? Great. Then to his right, we have Sanjay Dhingra, who is the Associate Director of Admissions at Schulich School of Business, which is York University, Canada. And Sanjay has over a decade of experience in a wide range of industries, including financial services, marketing research, pharma, and education. And as he very kindly informed me, the common thread that runs through those experiences is marketing. So can we please have a huge round of applause for Sanjay? And to my right, we have Aditya Atre, who is the Associate Director of Admissions at ISB. Aditya has a decade of experience, and 7 to 8 years amongst that are in education itself. And he also has some really interesting global experiences, be it in Philippines and also in some nursing care. So yeah, can we please have a huge round of applause for Aditya as well? Great, great. So you might be interested in knowing that a lot of the people from the audience had questions related to your school specifically. So we're excited to just delve into those, through the panel. So to start out, can we get an overview of each of your programs? Because I know you have a portfolio of programs as well and degree options. And we could also touch upon some aspects such as the residential living and the student life aspects as well. So just to start out with, if you could just do that. And Sanjay, being on the extreme right, if you could kick the panel off, that'd be great.
Sure. So great to be here. We have heard you have been a brilliant audience, so a pleasure interacting with all of you. I'm not going to take very long. I'm going to talk very quickly about the Schulich MBA program and your unique factors or the features about the program. Of course, the school offers a lot of other programs, but those may not really be relevant for an audience like you, which looks really young and probably would have a couple of years of experience. So you can look at the full-time MBA at the Schulich School of Business. Now, of course, one factor about the Schulich program, or one important factor for a lot of Indian students, is the fact that it's based in Canada, it's based in Toronto, right? A lot of you are looking at international education, are looking to move out of the country, get exposure, and Canada tends to be a favorite or a hot destination currently, given what's happening across the world in geopolitics and between the trade wars in US, China, and all of that. Coming to other features about the Schulich program, it's of course amongst the top ranked in Canada, has a very special focus on corporate social responsibility or the social impact which its graduates or alumni make. So the school has this philosophy of a triple bottom line perspective. So people, profit, and planet, all of those need to be taken into account. And yeah, of course, there are features that set it apart. One interesting thing, and this is one last sentence which I'm going to put in, is that Schulich also offers an MBA that starts off in India. So you can technically start off your MBA in India and complete the program in Toronto with all the benefits that the Schulich MBA program offers. So basically the same pedagogy, same faculty, same immigration possibilities, same duration of work permits that you get. You can get all of that even after starting your program in India and then completing in Toronto. So of course, that's something which not a lot of you would have known, and I would be happy to answer questions around that.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Bangalore. Thank you. Hey, all of you know that at IIM Bangalore, we have an MBA program that is through CAT, that is 2-year regular residential MBA program. I won't be talking much about that, but in addition to that 2-year regular MBA program through CAT, we have other programs. That is 1-year full-time residential MBA program. This program is for candidates with more than 5 years of work experience. How many of you are more than 5 years of work experience here? Good crowd. Okay. So these people, people with more than 5 years of work experience, as on 31st March 2020, this for the next admission. So they can join this program through GMAT or GRE as an admission test score. So this is a 1-year MBA program. Then for people who doesn't want to leave their job at this point of time, but they have an urge to enhance their managerial skills, for those candidates, we have a weekend program that is also an MBA program for a duration of 2 years. This is a 2-year weekend MBA program. For this, minimum 4 years of work experience is required. And admission test scores are CAT, GMAT, or GRE, or in case if you are not in a position to take any of these 3 tests, you can also join this program through IIMB test. There is a separate test called IIMB test that we conduct in the month of February. Okay? So these are the programs that I would like to share more details with you based on your queries.
Thank you so much.
You only did one bit of exercise, let's do more. So how many of you are in college? Can you please show me your hands? All right, how many of you are 0 to 2 years of experience? All right, 3 to 5? All right, 5 to 8? And 8 plus? Okay, fair enough. So most of the schools have a similar array of programs available to you. ISB does the same. So we have about 4 degree level programs that are available. The first one, of course, being the PGP, which is ranked #1 in India by the FT rankings. We are 24th globally. The program has about 39% women in the class. So it's a regular 1-year MBA where you leave everything, you come and stay on the campus, you do your MBA, and then you get the placement through the school. The second program is for people between 5 to 12 years of work experience, which is the weekend MBA program. Classes happen right here in Bangalore. And if you, like Bala sir just said, you don't want to leave your job, you want to do your weekend MBA, so you can do that. It's more of an executive MBA program that you do at ISB. There's a third and a very niche program for people who are coming in from family business and they want to go back to family business at ISB. That is called a Management and Family Business Program. MFAB is what we call it. And then last but not the least, we have our executive program, which has an average of about 16 years of experience in the class, called PGP Max. So if there are people who are at that level who are looking for an MBA now, ISB has a program for you as well. So that's the portfolio of the programs that we have at ISB.
Thank you so much for sharing those wonderful options. In fact, just hearing those options, it makes me want to find out how I can get into those programs. I'm sure our audience is interested as well. So if we could talk about admissions a little bit, I know we talked about tests, we talked about GMAT, GRE, then Balasa, you talked about the IIM specific, B specific test as well. So if you could share your opinions on what are some competitive scores for candidates, that's one question. The other question is if there are any preferences as to which test the candidates take. So those are like a 2-part question. Anybody.
Okay, so this is a tricky question that you asked. See, from a school's perspective, especially I'll talk from ISB perspective, a test is not everything. Please understand that. We are looking at a lot other attributes in your profile, and if you want, I can give you a cheat sheet of that as well. So if we start off with the first focus in on academics. Then we are looking at your work experience. We are looking at your awards and achievements. We are looking at your extracurricular activities. We are looking at your essays. We are looking at your letter of recommendation. So these are 6, and the 7th is GMAT. Now remember, all of this will get you to an interview stage. Then we interview you, and then the offer is rolled out. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that GMAT is one component of your profile. If there is, or GRE is one component of your profile. If you think that there is enough in your profile and you have an average score, you can still come through. Let's say if you think that you are not good in academics, then you need to balance it out somewhere. So either in your work experience or in your essays or in your GMAT, GRE. And last but not the least, if you have a fairly high GMAT score and you may have, or a GRE score for that matter, and you may have not done too well in some other aspect in your profile, GMAT gives you that cushion. So every school will say the higher the better. But if we talk about ISB, our average score this year has been 710. But for a class of 900 students currently, you are good at math, you can work out the probability. There are a good amount of 350 plus students who are below 710 as well. We also have an entrepreneur with a 600, we have an engineer with a 610, but remember, they will have something else in their profile. It's not just the degree and the GMAT score or the GRE score, right? It does not matter which exam you give because at ISB, both of them have equal weightages attached to them. There's no difference in the exam, but of course, it has to be a valid score by the time you come into the class.
I don't think that any point has been left out. All the points are well covered here. But what I would like to give specific to IIM Bangalore is, see, we started EPGP almost 11 years back. When we started the program, the batch profile was, the lowest was as close to as 600. The person was from army background. This batch, the current batch, we have a candidate with 650. And the range is up to 770. So what I would like to say here is, GMAT alone is not the decision maker to enter into any of the business schools. Again, it's not specific to the IIMB, it holds good with other business schools also. So what you will be looking at is how different you are from the rest of the pool. Even in our selection process also, what we will be looking from the candidate is, what is that this candidate is going to bring different skill sets to the class. Especially in the class, it's mainly a case study based kind of a discussion, the learning. So we would look at what is this candidate is the unique feature when it comes to the case study discussion, the kind of the points he is going to raise. If I have the class of only the IT engineers, again, it is like a training program for an IT group of people. We don't want that kind of a session to have in our MBA class. We would like to have people from healthcare sector, telecom sector, IT, manufacturing, FMCG, the whole gamut of people is what we would like to have as diversified as possible. So that's why I'm telling GMAT or GRE or the admission test score is not at all a single decision maker in your admission test score. Then again, which is preferred, which test, GMAT or GRE or IIMB test, all test scores will have equal weightage. There is no preference as such for us when it comes to the admission test score.
I think this answers it all.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So if we can talk about another component of the application process that candidates deliberate about and worry about as well, that would be the essays. So if we could just touch upon the expectations of candidates from essays for each of your schools, and if we could start with Sanjay, you this time, that'd be great.
Sure. So, is it working? Okay. Can you hear me? You can. Awesome. So I think let me start off by saying a common mistake that people make in writing their essays. That is not answering what is asked in that particular essay question. So if you look at the essays that the schools ask, there's a question. Normally there's not a statement that you have to answer, but you have to answer a question. Now when you look at the Schulich's mandatory essay, it's about your career goals and how does the Schulich MBA add to those career goals. So keep in mind what the question is. So you try to answer that question to the most appropriate extent that you can. Now coming to what are the expectations, right? While it may seem like a very simple question, what are your career aspirations and how does the program help you? It seems like a very simple question. There are a lot of underlying expectations that come along with that question. So it's not just about saying, hey, I want to become this, and Schulich has this specialization, so it would happen. You can actually say that in one sentence. But the reason you're giving 350 words to answer that question is because there are a lot of underlying expectations. Through answering that question, we expect you to highlight some significant achievements in your profile, draw linkages between your past experiences and your future aspirations. If there are any, as we said, GMAT is one factor, so we are looking at a lot of other outlying factors which make you stand apart from the crowd. So try to bring those out through your essay as well, and that makes it a winning essay. Also, if possible, try to make them interesting. We end up reviewing thousands of applications, each one of us. It's truthfully gets monotonous at times. So if you have something which is interesting, something exciting, some story that you can bring in which makes it really interesting for us to read, it just works in your favor.
Thank you.
At IIM Bangalore application process, we don't have an essay. In place of an essay, what we have is a statement of purpose. We call it as a SOP. Why are you doing this program? In what way this program is going to help you in your career goals? So these are the kind of the questions we would like you to answer in that statement of purpose. And statement of purpose, whatever that you are going to write, will be the key inputs for us for interview purpose. So whatever you write in statement of purpose, make sure that it is true and you are following as per that. If you write anything false, you may be caught in the interview, then that's the end of your selection process. So when you are writing statement of purpose, be practical and what you are only represent that. And also give a clear picture why you are doing this particular program and in what way this is going to help you.
Thank you.
I think similar story, nothing left to add, but I'll ask you a question first. How many of you are looking to apply to any of the 3 schools on the panel this year? So can you show me your hands again, please? Okay. Now the next question to you, have you logged into the portal? So see, this becomes a challenge. If you're worried about essay, you should be logged into the portal, you should know the essay questions and then start thinking about how do I start writing them? Because the more the time you have with the essay questions, you'll be able to get them reviewed from various people, probably some help with the team around here or an alum, your friends, your mentor at work. All of these will give you some other perspective in the essay. So I can tell you that the ISB portal is live and the essays are up there. So the first essay talks about if there are 900 students, why should we select you? So it is talking about your uniqueness. The second essay talks about where do you see yourself in 2025. So that talks about your career goals and career progressions. So these are the 2 essays that typically, or the statement of purpose that typically every school would want to understand from you. So have that vision, start writing your essays now because you don't get it right in the first time, right? You will need to edit, visit your essay, revisit your essay. For that, you need to log into the portal, right? That's all.
Thank you so much for those pearls of wisdom, and I think that's great advice for everyone. Prashant probably mentioned it earlier as well, logging into the portal, so everybody would be clued into this. Sanjay, just wanted to touch upon something which I know it didn't come up here, but I saw that Shulek also has a timed essay component, which is impromptu. So can you share with us the rationale behind that and how candidates can approach that aspect of the evaluation?
So it's not a very complicated aspect. It may look a bit scary at first, but it's actually not. So as part of the timed essays, you actually do 2 timed video essays, which are your 4 or 5 minute short recordings that you have to make on your own computer or on the own computer. So basically, you log into your laptop, use the camera to record on a particular platform and submit that. And then there's a written essay, a timed written essay, which gives you some time to write around 100, 150 words on a particular topic. Now, these are very generic topics, and these are randomly allocated to each candidate. So it's done through an external platform, and that platform allocates a topic to you. The whole idea behind taking or getting these video recordings or getting the timed written essay, one is a basic test of your communication skills and your personality. So a common challenge which VB schools face is the number of applications and how to filter those applications or identify the right candidates for the next level of evaluation. You possibly can't interview each and every applicant to the program. You can't. So the idea is these evaluations, the timed written essay, the video essay, help us do that brief evaluation of your communication skills, personality through the essay. Of course, as I said, if whatever the topic is, if you make it interesting for us, you make it quirky, you come up with something new, something different, it helps us remember you better, catches attention. So don't ignore it, but at the same time, don't sweat too much about it. It's mainly to test your basic communication and personality.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sanjay. I'm cognizant of time as well, so I want to move on to some other aspects as well. Aditya, if you could share a little bit about the experience of residential living, because ISB is very well known for its campus and the experience that people have, student life experience, if you could touch upon that. And of course, Bala sir and Sanjay as well, if you'd like to do that.
Right. So we have two campuses, one in the north in Mohali, close to Chandigarh, and the second one, of course, being Hyderabad. All of you know that. The students stay on campus for the residential program, for the duration of the program. And one of the advantages of having a residential program is that your learning doesn't stop when you come out of the classroom. In fact, a lot of learning, if you ask alums today, they say that the most, I'll not say most because then that will not sound right for the professors, but then what they say is that a lot of learning happened outside the classroom as well, you know, when they were sitting together, talking to each other, you know, having parties as well. And the best part is that you don't have to worry about all the basis of your staying there. So we have outsourced all the services to a vendor. They'll take care of your room, they'll wash your utensils, they'll make your bed, they'll wash your clothes. All you need to do is study. Focus on the core things and rest, let someone else take care of all of that. One last point before I hand it over to Bala sir is that even if the class starts at 8, you slept at 3 and you're getting up at 7:55, you can still be in the class.
I hope you can brush your teeth.
Ours is a residential program. We provide residential accommodation for students. It is just 3 kilometers away from IIM Bangalore campus. It is in an apartment. And we have two kinds of accommodation provided to EPGP students, that is 1-year MBA candidates. One is a family accommodation, that is a 2 BHK house is provided to the students. They can stay with spouse and family and in-laws, children. And another one is a 3 BHK house shared with 3 students. So this is the kind of the accommodation, and all facilities are available there as a standard facilities.
Thank you.
So not much, like Aditya said, you know, housing becomes an integral part of your learning experience as well. A lot of discussions move from the classroom to the common areas or where the students can interact with each other, work on their group projects, discuss, fight on ideas, fight not literally, but basically argue and have discussions on various topics and learn from each other. And just living together makes it very exciting, very different. For a lot of you, you may be moving out of your family home for the first time. So it's like a different learning or growing up experience as well. And that's why the schools have this housing facilities available. Same is the case at York University, various configurations available and with a lot of facilities, and they tend to be super fun.
Thanks for sharing. So, Sanjay, if I could confirm, then people who are pursuing the MBA in India in the first year, they would have on-campus housing. If you could just talk about that a little.
So for the MBA in India, it's not on-campus housing. It's a little away from the campus. So it's 15, 20 minutes drive, but school has regular shuttle buses going back and forth between the housing and the campus. And students live in a luxury villa retreat. So it's usually a holiday home, holiday villas for the Novu rich of Hyderabad as such. So that's where the students live. They live in 3 BHK or 4 BHK villas, have a choice between sharing accommodation or an independent room. And the villa complex comes with all the facilities you can think of: swimming pool, housekeeping, squash courts, badminton courts, gym, whatever you think you need. So it's really luxury living. The whole idea being that you can concentrate on your studies without getting distracted or without worrying about who takes care of the basics.
That sounds really exciting indeed.
It is fun. I wouldn't mind going back as a student now.
Fun. Maybe we can get invited to one of those parties. So Sanjay, while we still have you, if you could just talk about the format of the MBA in India with 1 year in Hyderabad and 1 year in Toronto, and what the benefits of that are for our audience members, because they may not know that.
Sure. So while we term it like a different program, we call it the MBA in India program. It's actually the same Schulich MBA program which is offered, just in a split format where you do the first 8 months or the first 1 year of your MBA in India at the Hyderabad campus, and then move on to Toronto to complete the second year or the remaining 8 months of your coursework in Toronto. So it's the same program that you're going through. So you learn from the same Schulich faculty who fly in to teach in Hyderabad during the first year. You get access to the same career services from the school, the same alumni relations, or alumni support from the school. So you name it, everything remains the same. The few advantages of this particular program become that, of course, your costing goes down. So you end up saving around 10 to 12 lakh Indian rupees, given the tuition fee, the slightly lower tuition fee, and the living expenses that tend to be lower in India. And sorry. So, of course, the advantage becomes one on the cost front, and secondly, your outcomes don't change. So since you get support from the same career development center, your employment opportunities remain the same. In fact, whatever numbers we report tend to be consistent across the two cohorts, the cohort that starts off in India, the cohort that starts off in Toronto. And finally, in the second year, you get merged with the Toronto cohort, and your immigration opportunities, the kind of work visa you get, the duration of the work visa you get, all of those tend to remain similar. So you get the advantage of a slightly smaller cohort in the first year, so better faculty access, better peer networking opportunities at a slightly lower cost with the same career and learning opportunities as the cohort in Toronto.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So before we move to the audience, just one last question from my side. Could each of you touch upon the career prospects that candidates would have from your respective programs? And then we'll move to the audience after that.
Sure. Okay, let me go first because I'm sure you're already aware of the career figures for ISB and IMB. I guess we shouldn't give them a chance. But just coming to Schulich, if you look at the employment numbers, the school reports around 90% deployment within 90 days of completing the program. So basically, within 3 months of graduation, 90% of the students report having a job in hand or having accepted an offer. Of course, since the cohort is made up of a lot of international students, almost 55% of Schulich students come from outside of Canada. Some choose to go back to their home country, and the school may not be able to track their data or track their employment numbers, but 90% is what the school is able to track. One interesting fact or the interesting figure is 93% of Schulich alumni live and work in Canada. What that ends up implying is that once you end up there, a majority of students don't want to leave that country or move back, mainly because of the quality of life. So Toronto is known to be amongst the it's amongst the top 10, I think it's the 7th or the 6th most livable city in the world currently. So very friendly environment, very welcoming culture, great North American life. And consequently, once the students get there, most end up taking employment in Canada itself.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Okay. At IIM Bangalore, we encourage students not to worry about the placements. What we want them to focus on during their academics is what is the kind of the career shift that he would like to have or the transformation that he would like to have after this program. If a guy joins from a IT background, from the coding, and if he wants to be on a financial domain side, we encourage him to take more and more electives which have been offered in the financial domain. We ask him to do more projects on the financial side of it, and we want him to interact with more industry people from that particular domain. So this is how each and every student is being counseled by the Career Development Center of the Institute, so that by the time of the placement, he is being fully prepared for the transformation that what he is looking forward for. That is point number one. Point number two, if someone wants to be an entrepreneur after this program, what is the kind of the support that we can provide? One is we provide an incubation cell at IIMB. That is, he can propose his project to the committee of consisting of faculties, alums, industry experts, and the venture capitalists. So if the venture capitalist finds it's interesting, we may get PE funding also at that point of time. Then, in addition to this, if the student feels that his decision of going out of the placement cycle, that is to be an entrepreneur, is not right at a later stage, that means in the next 2 years, if he finds that he has taken a higher risk of being on the entrepreneurship, then Institute allows him to come back to the placement cycle and be a part of the placement cycle in that particular year. So that means he gets a 2 years placement off from the placement cycle side of it. So this gives him an additional advantage, saying that he can experience or he can try his experiment, his plans, and in case if it's not working out, he can come back and be a part of the placement cycle. And it's an 100% placement. I need not mention that heavily.
Thank you.
I agree with Bala sir to a great extent. Actually, you should worry about coming in to the program and let us worry about sending you out of the program. Having said that, if you would have heard the placement statistics, it's on the website, ISB website, but if you would have heard the statistics for about 885 students who graduated this year, on day one of placement, we had about 1200 plus job offers from about 300 companies. The second point I'd like to say here is that if you follow the Financial Times rankings, which is one of the respected rankings across the globe, ISB is known to give you 187% increase in salary after your MBA. So pre versus post MBA salary. And that is amongst the highest in the world. We are number one in terms of salary increase, which is a pre versus post MBA salary that you get. So, but like sir rightly pointed out, it's also about what you want to do. There are incubators available on both campuses. Let's say if you want to do an industry change or a function change, then have you picked up the right courses for that so that the company can see your employability in terms of what have you done at ISB. That becomes very crucial.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess now it's time for us to move to our audience for your questions. So can we have a show of hands for people who have questions? And Pyle, if we could get some help with circulating the microphones, that would be great. Okay. Yeah. We'll take one at the back.
Hello, sir. I'm an undergraduate student at Ahmedabad University. My name is Shyam Agrawal. Can you shed some light at the alternate options of entry at ISB, such as the Young Leaders program?
We have a very interesting program for undergraduate students called the Young Leaders program. It is a program where you apply while you're in college. You get a deferred admission from ISB. Then you graduate. You complete 20 months of work experience before you come into the class. So two clear advantages in this program is that one, you are getting an exclusive scholarship opportunity through the YLP program as compared to the regular entry route. The second advantage is that you are technically getting an ISB admit without work experience, because you get an offer first, then you start working. So we are looking at everything in your profile, but we are not looking at work experience to give you an offer. So that is something which is unique in itself, because when you are applying with work experience, then that becomes an additional component which is rated on, judged, evaluated on how have you progressed in your work. So that's one advantage, two advantages that the YLP students have.
We have a question there.
Hi, my question is to Bala sir. So in India we have like people giving CAT, I just want to give CAT, so let's go and give. So how do you feel that the kind of intake you have for 2 years and then the prospects you have for 2-year program, which is PGP, to the 1-year e-PGP program, where probably the number of applications might not be, or the quality of applications might not be similar to what you're getting for your regular or the flagship 2-year program?
Okay, it is a question on 2-year versus 1-year MBA program at IIM Bangalore. See, the 2-year MBA program, we take more or less the freshers also. And there, at least around 30% of the batch is freshers, and remaining batch is an average of 12 to 18 months is the work experience. Still, we consider them as more or less as the freshers, whereas compared to the 1-year MBA, the average work experience between 7 to 8 years. Even though 5 years is the minimum work experience, the average work experience of the batch is between 7 to 8 years. And when it comes to the number of contact hours, it is 750 contact hours what we have in 1-year MBA compared to the 900 contact hours of the 2-year MBA program. In 2-year MBA program, you may get a couple of electives extra, but the core courses will remain the same, and it is the same faculties. And also, when it comes to the electives, being a 1-year MBA student, you can choose the electives which has been offered to the 2-year MBA program also. So that is, electives are open for all the batches. So all programs. So there is no specific that this elective is only for this particular program type of it. So when it is an elective, the class mix totally changes. That is one side of it. Then when it comes to the placement side of it, it is a separate process. 2-year MBA program is like the kind of the offers what they get there is more or less at an entry level, the management trainee, those kind of offers. But for an 1-year MBA, it cannot be like that. So 2-year MBA, it is just one round or the second round of interview, the offers are being made. Whereas a 1-year MBA, it cannot happen like that because I have a candidate with 15 years of work experience, 5 years of work experience, 10 years of work experience. So the people will go at a different level in an organization. So it goes different, sometimes 7 to 8 levels of interviews. So it's a customized interview or a selection process, the placement process for 1-year MBA program.
Thank you. We have a question over there, in the middle, over there. Yeah.
Check. Hi, my name is Gantavya. So I had a question for everybody on the panel. Like you said that the average work X for IIM is minimum 5, and for other colleges it starts at 3. Once a student gets in, is there a differentiating factor between students who have 3 to 4 years work X and 6 to 7 in terms of curriculum and placements? Because the level of knowledge that everybody possesses at different work experience levels is different.
So usually not on the curriculum. So most schools would offer you the same level. You would of course have choices to make. So you can pick your elective courses. Some schools would have a senior executives club, which you can be part of if you have higher experience. So there would be additional things that you can pick and choose, which are optional. But when it comes to the core curriculum, that would remain consistent, whether you're someone with 4 years or 5 years of work experience, or someone with 15 years of experience. The whole idea is that the students are expected to learn from each other. So people with lesser experience bring in certain life skills, certain competencies, which people with higher experience can benefit from, and vice versa as well. So not in the curriculum. When it comes to employment, right, there would be a difference that would come in naturally. Think about it, right? A company would not recruit, say, someone with 15 years of experience at the same level as it's recruiting someone with 3 or 4 years of experience, right? There's more experience, more maturity, more knowledge that comes in with higher experience, and those levels would vary. It would also vary according to the industry and function you're going for and what kind of transitions you're making. So in case you're making an industry change, then of course recruiting company would want to discount that, probably start you off at a slightly lower level as you would have got in the industry that you were previously working. So if you decide to go back to your previous industry, you'd expect to start off at a slightly higher level. But if you're changing industries, then expect to start off at a slightly lower designation or level as well. Same with the function as well. So those factors come in along with the years of experience, along with the quality of work that you have done, and what kind of skills or what kind of additional things that you're bringing to the table. And yes, with years of work experience, pay scales, designations, those would vary.
Okay. Just to add one point here, yes, class is highly diverse. Different students will be having a different kind of experience and exposure in different areas. One example I would like to quote here, a couple of years back, a student from arts background, she was finding it very difficult in terms of quants. And she went and approached the faculty. Faculty said that I cannot customize my teaching only for you, or I cannot go up to your level, but what I can do is I will assign a PhD student to teach you. So in that way, if you approach any of the faculties with your concerns, they are ready to help you out. So there are many ways of getting support from the institute. Only thing is you should be open to go and approach to the concerned faculty, and they are ready to help you out.
Again, most of it has been covered. Just to give you a sense, at ISB, our minimum work experience is 2 years. The average is about 4.7. On the placement angle, I think the only demarcation at ISB comes for 8 years plus of work experience. So for them, we have a SEC called a Senior Executive Club. So if you're coming in with 8+ years of work experience, we start working very closely with you much sooner as we do it with the regular students, average student that comes to ISB. Just because these people are not looking for regular jobs, they are looking for certain niche roles, and we sometimes have to go out to the corporates to build those roles, develop those roles at ISB. For everyone else, when companies are coming to recruit, they have budgeted positions already. And there's a student portal at ISB where a company will list the location, the job, the salary package, the limits, the variables and all of that. How many positions are they recruiting for, and also the work experience required. So typically you apply to an organization looking at your eligibility. It's not the other way around. Companies are not looking at, okay, let me select this candidate. So you apply, then there's a shortlisting, and then you appear for the interview.
Thank you so much. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. I see that there's a question in the front. If we could get the mic right over here, Sharang, that'd be great. Yeah, this lady over here.
Hi. So I had a question with respect to the 1-year MBA and the weekend program you have. So what kind of career impact would these have? And what are the similarities between these programs when it comes to the opportunities you provide in your campus?
Yeah. Comparison between 1-year regular program and 2-year weekend program. Yeah. One clear distinguishing factor between 1-year regular and 2-year weekend program is 2-year weekend program does not get placement support because you are continuing to be there on the job, and we need the support of your employer for you to do his higher studies. So we take a no objection certificate from your employer, and we in turn assure to your employer saying that we won't be providing you any placement support. But we won't provide you, but many students, when they come to the second year, they are changing their profiles and the companies. So it depends on the students. But 1 year, yes, we provide the placement support. Except for this placement support, in terms of the curriculum and the number of contact hours, the pedagogy, all those things will remain the same. And the one advantage in 2-year program is 2-year students will get an exchange program opportunity. We have a tie-up of exchange with around 32 universities across the globe at par with IMB kind of institutes, where one term student goes to that university without any additional cost in terms of the tuition fees. The student has to bear only the travel and accommodation cost. There is no additional tuition fee cost. So he will spend one term there and then he will come back. So there is an exchange program opportunity which is available.
Thank you. We have time for maybe the last question. We have a question here, right over here in the front.
Hi, my name is Anirudh. I have a question for Aditya. So even in the previous panels, it was told that demonstrated leadership between 4 to 10 years of experience range is a very important aspect of a resume or candidate's profile. But if you look, I mean, I'm not very sure about the outgoing statistics, but a large chunk also goes into financial services and consultants and also various individual contributors roles, right? So how important or why is it necessary for a person to develop leadership skills or demonstrated leadership abilities if, post your MBA if you're going to a finance or a consulting background?
So see, if you open, please have a seat. If you open the application portal, you will see most of the portals are defined in the sense, what was your role and designation when you had started working? What was your salary when you had started working? Where are you now? So what we are trying to see is there a progression that you have had? So leadership does not mean that you need to get a title of a leader, like everyone had suggested in the previous panel as well. It should imply that you have done something differently, which has benefited you as well as your team and the organization. Now, when these companies are coming to recruit at ISB, they are looking for what have you done differently apart from your KRAs and KPIs that were given to you. So that is where the leadership aspect becomes important. Sometimes you may be doing something which you don't know, which can bring out that leadership potential. So my advice usually is for people to just take a piece of paper, write down everything that you have done in an organization, and then try and see what to put where in your application. It need not be through a designation change. It can also be salary growth. It can be in terms of how many people were reporting to you earlier and now. What was your team size? How many projects did you work on? How many clients did you work with? All of these things show growth in your profile. Another very short one-line answer would be, when you are at 1 year at ISB, there's a lot that you will get as an opportunity to do. But of course, you cannot do everything together. So you'll need to pick and choose what is relevant to you and the industry that you're targeting for the employer to see that potential in you to get yourself to that dream role that you're looking at. Right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we do need to end our panel, unfortunately, as well. So in the interest of time, I want to invite you all to give a huge round of applause to Balas, Sanjay, Aditya for joining us today, flying in from different cities and giving us their time. And I'm not sure if they're around in the break, but if they are, you can probably try to catch them there as well to have a few more questions answered. So please, if we could have one more round of applause.